been a week because I was eating turkey the last time it was a Thursday. So I didn't film anything, but I'm still singing for no reason. Because I like to think that when I do this, I validate musicals a little bit.
If anything, you punish them.
Well, they punish us all, so they deserve some punishment back. Take that, Gallivant. Take that. Alright, it is I, Sebastiano Francesco Piccione. And this is the thing with a bunch of initials. This is
Sadly true. Sadly true.
F3G2 in the it's like this back room is kind of like it's alive. It's a transformer. It's made out of that same stuff as the
Krakoa.
As the obelisk in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It just kind of I knock books over, and then just, it's a mess. It's a different mess. It's almost clean. It's a different mess. It's a huge mess. It's like my mind.
So, at one point, we're going to be shooting on the other side of the galaxy and get really good ratings then?
No. There's only one person on that end of the galaxy, and he ain't gonna watch.
No, because everyone will be happy that we're off planet.
Will they? They will cry. Don't cry for me, Argentina. The truth is, I never left you. All through my mild days, my sad existence. I kept my promise to keep your distance. Alright, let's start with some books. Charles Soule. All New Inhumans #1. So good. This book, so good. So good. You get a bunch of new Inhumans. They're new humans now. You get Crystal sporting her, pixie cut. Her slightly punk pixie cut. You get Gorgon not happy about being wheelchair bound. Apparently his spine isn't completely severed, but if he stands, or definitely if he uses his Gorgon stamping power, it could just snap the whole thing and then he's fucked. So he's basically, it's worse than losing your powers. He's got his powers, but if he ever uses them again, he's fucked. He's fucked. So damn good. Great introduction. Great setup to the team. We do get I can spoil it for you if you want. We do get a former X-Men. Don't worry, it's nobody major. But she does have a following. I said she. I spoiled something. All right, I'll give you in 3, 2, 1. It's Frenzy, who is teaming with them just like Beast has in the. We're trying to. Solve this. No, we're trying to solve it because their team is following the Terrigen mist cloud that is just going across the world, sterilizing mutants, transforming anyone with Kree DNA into Inhumans, and doing what it does. There's just like there are anti-mutant groups, there's anti-Inhuman groups, and all sorts of wackiness abounds. So good. Read that. Now, Charles Soule, I love you, buddy. Daredevil was technically very good. Daredevil #1. The problem is, it basically undoes everything from the Mark Waid Daredevil series that I loved more than words can say. From the Mark Waid, Chris Samney et al. Group, that I couldn't truly be happy with it. Looks great. Ron Garney. Oh, yeah. Interesting setup with Blind Spot. Is he good? Is he bad? Is he bold? I don't know. We have to, as they say with every one of these new Marvel books, you want to see what happens next? Don't miss Daredevil #2. Dun dun dun. So, Daredevil's new costume. Also, I have one, the black and the red. I'm fine. You can mix the colors up. That's cool. The kind of wrapped around gloves and the tied on boots. Okay. He looks a little more ninja. Also, Garney draws his Matt Murdock to look a little more what's his face? that plays him in that guy that my wife just wants to.
Oh, on the show.
Whatever my wife wants to do to him, I think will actually make him as blind as Daredevil. But yeah, she's still she's still never recovered from the scene where they found him in a box in what the hell is it? We're gangsters, and it's the 20s. Boardwalk Empire. She never recovered from where he's Mr. something Irish. So all of that I'm fine with. This odd little stylization to the D in Daredevil, I get it from an art point of view. I get it from a mix things up point of view. I get all that. I don't see why a blind man would design that. I don't see how a blind man would design that, but I don't see why he would go for a change in aesthetic. His big standard almost type font DD kind of worked perfectly for Daredevil. So technically really good, and I'm sure I'll warm to it because Charles Soule is on my list of godly writers. But he's not as high as Mark Waid, and this basically said, remember the Mark Waid book? No, ha 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 ha. And I went, what? And they sort of one more dated in the middle, so. But still really good. Just hurts me because issues. Guardians of Infinity #1. Some of the Guardians of the Galaxy, the original from the future Guardians of the Galaxy, meet the new from the now Guardians of the Galaxy. And along the way, they meet the Guardians of the Galaxy from the year 10-something. There's a really good backup story with The Thing and Rocket, in which, who did the art to that? I'm gonna look it up. It was Jim Chung, who does like his homage, his love story to, really what he draws for his Thing is a great combo I would not have thought of. It looks like, what if John Byrne's Fantastic Four heyday, the Thing that John Byrne made, when John Byrne made the Fantastic Four, John Byrne's Fantastic Four. What if that Thing was inked by Barry Windsor Smith? So a John Byrne, Barry Windsor Smith combo, I would not have thought of in a million years, but it looks beautiful. He draws a great Thing. The main story, we introduce our cast, we get the Guardians of yesterday and today and tomorrow, and of course there's a lot of punching of things. Also in that backup story, there's a part that sort of made me laugh. Rocket is trying to scrounge together parts to make a thing, and even though in the movie Rocket never got that guy's artificial leg, or he didn't really need that guy's artificial leg, and he never got the other guy's artificial eye, in this there is an artificial arm hanging out of the box of things he's got. So he did get a prosthetic limb. So yeah, it's what do you need me to tell you? It's Dan Abnett writing a Guardians book. So
Read it.
even if you haven't read Guardians but you saw that movie and liked that movie, or know that that movie was as big as it was, that movie only happened because Abnett and Lanning said, okay, we will do Guardians. And now half of them is doing it again. So read that. Invincible Iron Man with Mary Jane on the cover saying, no Spidey, no Spidey. She's in like 7 pages of the book. But this is still one of my favorite. Bendis. Where do we begin with Brian Michael Bendis? Well, as we know, once upon a time he was far from my favorite writer. And then he started creeping. When his Avengers I thought was okay, but a bit too talky. Then he killed sort of Ultimate Peter Parker, introduced Miles Morales, and I fell in love with that book, and I was like, oh, so happy. Then he started doing somewhere in that same mix. He started doing the X-Men, and made me give a crap about the X-Men again, something that hadn't really happened since the 80s, and briefly I tried reading it when I liked the idea of Juggernaut is a good guy. Don't know why. Wasn't really in love with that book, but read it for a while, and then, whatever. So he brought me back into that fold. But I really think Iron Man has been his best stuff. He's done some great work with Tony. There's a little homage to a real life kid who struggled with some health issues, and he and his sister have started a charity for kids with similar issues. So that was good. There's a great scene where Tony pre-recorded, as he's supposed to go to the hospital for the sick kids. Tony pre-recorded a message that he knew for when he would have Friday talk to him for when inevitably he tried to talk himself out of having to go to that and was going to postpone it. And so you get to have Tony arguing with Tony. Listen, Tony, this is Tony from 3 days ago. So, you've got that. So that was pretty cool. People can whine all they want, if they want, about what Bendis is doing with Doctor Doom, but I love it. So, The Totally Awesome Hulk by Greg Pak and Frank Cho. It's Cho on Cho, because Cho is drawing Amadeus Cho and his sister Maddie Cho. So you've got Cho on the Hulk. Because it's a Cho book, of course, the first issue starts on a beach because we need excuses to draw, the hot women in the bikinis. But also, that's not, I think, the most interesting choice. What is the most interesting choice is that I find, for the most part, he draws these hot beach women, but all the men are, like, out of shape. And so the women look even hotter because there are no men worthy. There are just these oddly shaped men on the beach.
Kind of like a family outing for you.
It's surprised me. I didn't expect to like. I didn't care. I've never cared about Amadeus Cho as a character. I really didn't care about the idea. Oh, Amadeus is going to be the Hulk. I'm like, I didn't care they're making the Hulk somebody else. They've done that before. I didn't care. I was very interested in what's happened to Banner, and there's part of that scenario there. This issue guest stars Miles and She-Hulk. It introduces Lady Hellbender, and Cho has a different. What was interesting, and I really liked this. I didn't expect to. I will be reading these. I'm also curious to see how many issues Cho can go before they need a fill-in, and what that'll do to the vibe of the book. Because I think, Frank Cho's pencils are so distinct that it just looks like those weird imaginary sequences from random Sunday comics versions of Liberty Meadows. But the gamma affects our Cho boy a little differently. He's not quite as rage-filled, although he can be, really, because he's younger, he's a teenager. It affects libido. The more when he's in Hulk form, he is flirting with everything and just wants to get with everything. He's getting his ass kicked by Lady Hellbender, and he's like, "But she's fine though," and he's hitting on She-Hulk. Even though he's like, "I think she's like 40." What? She talks like she's 40. What? So his sister keeps trying to get, and he's like, "Look, I'm not Banner. I can control this." And there is an interesting little visual metaphor where he's dreaming as he sleeps, and he's in a big green Cadillac with the license plate Cho Time, and he's like, "Amadeus Cho," and I've got the monster right where I want him. And you see the trunk of the car is like duct taped shut, but some of the duct tape is peeling off, and there's like the Hulk's eyes looking out, like, because deep inside is still, the Hulk. So it was really good. Marvel's been doing some really good stuff with Marvel did their soft reboot so much better than DC's New 52 and subsequent Convergence. Yeah, Marvel's like, "This is how we do it, baby," and DC's like this. We told you you'd like it. We changed it. Stop changing it for the sake of changing it, and just do some new stuff. Marvel did it right. You can argue all day. Well, it was DC's idea first. It was Marvel's idea. I don't care whose idea it was first. I care who did it better. I'm a DC fan. Inside, underneath. If you were to rip my chest off, I'd bleed to death. And then you would see that where my heart should be is the old DC logo with the tilted DC inside the circle with the stars on it. Not that one. The old. The DC bullet.
Oh, okay.
The tilted DC inside the circle with the stars. And I have to admit, though, Marvel kicked their asses these past couple of years. Speaking of, Star Wars Vader Down made me very happy because while I'm sure they're not completely gone because the universe isn't that good to me, Jason Aaron seriously fucked up those annoying ass evil C-3PO and R2-D2 versions from the backup cast of Darth Vader. They got fucked up. And everyone makes jokes about it. Anyone who takes a shot at triple zero there gets to say, like Luke hits him with a lightsaber and is like, tells R2, you gotta remind me to apologize to 3PO because I enjoyed that way too much. But, and you finally get to see the great threat come true. Chewbacca is a Wookiee. What do Wookiees do? They rip your arms off. So that was pretty good. You get R2 versus whatever the hell that other droid is. What's his name? It's BT something. So R2 pulls out his little arc welder, and BT pulls out he's like it's basically like a battle. Imagine the original Iron Man armor versus 90s War Machine. I'm metal. I'm an arsenal. Yipe. So everyone is written spot on. There's a great scene of Solo versus what's her name, Doctor or whatever, the bounty hunter girl from Darth Vader, and each of them is thinking how they're hiding underneath she's hiding underneath a nest of hornet worms, and she's like, oh look, he's hiding under. So they both shoot the nest of hornet worms to fall on the other, just kind of run themselves into the ground. Some great art. Deodato does like a beautiful Solo face. It's beautiful. So, Vader Down's been good so far. Action Comics number 47. It stars Superman versus Darkness Inside him. And
it was a book?
It was a comic that really, I skimmed through it. In the end, Vandal Savage is there, and Vandal Savage is sort of behind everything and controlling all the darkness and swears he's going to save the Earth more than Superman will. It's a thing. Just give me back. Wait, let me know when Superman again. Savage Dragon. Malcolm gets married. Malcolm's ex doesn't show up, but apparently she wasn't lying. There's a very messy aliens level birth. She doesn't get the enhancement, the device. It starts out. This is Eric Larson proving once again that when you create your own comic and you get to issue 209, you can do whatever the fuck you want, including starting a page with a pregnant bride-to-be lifting up her dress to show the groom's half-sister the device around her pregnant belly that keeps baby dragon from bursting through her like she's John Hurt, William Hurt? John Hurt.
William Hurt.
William Hurt. In, the Nostromo's dining room. His ex, Tiara, doesn't have one. She had said she was pregnant, then claimed she was lying. But
Messy.
Just bursts
Dear
out
God.
of her, drags her along by the umbilical cord till it snaps and leaves her dead. Look, it's just dragging her down the stairs until, eventually it snaps and then leaves her dead on the subway as this little dragon baby. Damn! Because Eric Larson.
He can.
What? And I'm drawing Spawn now. Fuck you. Lobo.
Damn.
Number 13. This book is building to its end. I don't know if this was the... Oh yeah, this is the end. This is the final issue of Lobo. But apparently he'll be in Batman Superman number 29. And I have to say, while it's always great to see Ethan Van Sciver interior art, I was upset by that in this because that artist who's been drawing this so far has been drawing, look, Lobo. New Lobo almost looks like Lobo. Alright? There are just panels in here with him being Lobo-esque. Like, look at that, as he's fighting,
Just not as beefy.
He looks, well, in my head, Lobo still wasn't that all that beefy, because I'm still thinking of, like, Omega Man Lobo and,
Old Lobo.
Justice League International Lobo, and then Legion 89 Lobo. So look at him, he looks like Lobo. They didn't draw all those unnecessary blue things on him, those baby blue light-up things. That looks like Lobo. So I was enjoying this. And he gets, like, all of his skin burned away, and as he's coming back, look, you can see those unnecessary blue things. Beautiful Ethan Van Sciver work, but he heals himself back into that again. And, I mean, Ethan Van Sciver still draws him really, really well, but I want to get rid of those. And they give this, like, effect, like his eyes are, it just crosses his eyes, does what and it's just not an intimidating color.
Nope.
I'm the scariest guy in the universe. I have light up pastel blue, powder blue body tattoos. Spidey number 1 was really good and slightly nerve-wracking. I don't know who Robbie Thompson is, but writes a damn good Spidey. Nick Bradshaw is Nick Bradshaw, so the book looks gorgeous. The things that bothered me were they gave, okay, so it's Spidey's origin. It's like, not Spidey's origin, but it's like more tales of Spidey back when he was in his teens. I assume within continuity, I don't know. Lots of fun, great story, great Peter Parker feel. However, it's all too modern. So, like, Doc Ock looks a little too modern. But more importantly, for some reason, Flash Thompson's hair is brown, making him look very Peter Parker-ish, except for, instead of, I always thought he had kind of more, like, orangey almost hair, like strawberry blonde. Gwen's a little badass, but that's okay. Gwen's got some badassery in her own comics, so they've got Gwen in there. It changes some first times people meet, so, there's some little tweaks. I can live with all of that. But ultimately, the biggest problem is in this convenient modern technology, you've got Spidey taking selfies with criminals, which is one thing, is fine. It's funny, haha, look, Spidey might do that now. But if you have Spidey doing it then, that means that any concept of him having, a hard time getting pictures. How do you get these pictures of Spider-Man fighting? Clearly anybody can do it. And also, if he's taking selfies, every villain, if that selfie gets bought and published by the Daily Bugle, every villain should be able to go, oh, so this Peter Parker kid is Spider-Man because I was there when he took that fucking picture of me. Now it says published by him. But still really good, gorgeous art. I'm going to read the hell out of it. But I have to just try and, I have to play Bella's Frozen soundtrack, because as I'm reading it, I'm like, why? Then I have to let it go. Let it go. Robin War begins here.
With a whimper, apparently?
No, I'm
confused?
Yeah, I mean, the art is a bit meh in parts. There's a lot of people on it, so it changes in and out.
Oh, that's
I like seeing the Look at this list of people involved with
Yeah,
writing
no,
and
it
drawing
was-
it. The Court of Owls is like, oh, Bruce Wayne isn't acting as Batman anymore. Well, we can take advantage of that. And what do they want? They want the Grey Sun. So they start a war of the Robins, knowing it will bring him back and they can do as they please. They get one of the Robins. They make it televised that one of the Robins is fucked up. He's involved in a shooting. He gets shot. He shoots back at, or he gets shot at. He shoots back at the bit and just kind of freaks, just unloads. Bad guy is killed, but so is a police officer. Robins are now illegal in Gotham. In Batman and Robin that came out in Robin, Son of Batman, that came out last week, Damian Wayne only just found out what happened to his father and decides to go back. He gets back in time to find all this going on, and meets the We Are Robin cast and is like, no, you're not. I am Robin, and proceeds to show them what it's like to be a real Robin. Meanwhile, Tim Drake and Jason Todd have teamed up to see what the hell's going on, and Dick is on his way. Because, as he says, it's true enough, but your matron. But you have to remember, at the end of the day, from the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, from the beginning of the day, first and always and foremost, I am Robin. So he's gonna go help out with that. So there's some good stuff. It's not great. It's not whatever. Ultimately, it's also a little personally gratifying because from the moment they started that We Are Robin, and I was baffled as to why, after all of his misgivings with, always wanting Bruce to retire and how happy he was that Bruce retired, and how all the Robins are out of the city and doing their own things, why would Alfred suddenly train a bunch of kids for a thing he never thought anybody should be doing in the first place? And it just seemed like it could go badly, and now it has, and it's cost a couple Robins their lives. So it was sort of gratifying. Howard the Duck #2, heart fucking breaking. Chip Zdarsky writes this heartbreaking tale of Linda the Duck and what is the sister's name? It's Linda and Shocket Raccoon are female clones that the collector made for the sole purposes of breeding with Rocket and Howard, so they would be more of their kind. Does not go to plan. They are now on the run to get, and it's this heartbreaking story with this agent that works for the collector who becomes like a father to them and doesn't want to see them used the way they are and freeze. And it's you wouldn't expect Howard the Duck clone feels, but they're there. So good. John Flood #5, so close to the end, so good. I review this every month and tell you how good this is. Just read this. What the hell, people? Plutonia. Talk about a dark secret origin. Jeff Lemire, you sick fuck. So you've got the death of Plutona, of Plutona, the lead female superhero of this world. And the kids go back to bury the body. The body's not there. Turns out one of the other kids hid it while the other kids weren't there. And now he and one of the younger kids are using a pocket knife to cut their own fingers and cut Plutona's fingers and mix their blood because they want superpowers. So they're basically becoming like blood brothers with a corpse, hoping to get transfusional superpowers.
STD superpowers.
Yeah, and maybe chlamydia. Meanwhile, we in our continuing flashback that shows us how it all goes awry, we get Plutona versus the White Wasp. Apparently one of her rogues gallery. Time travel and weirdness galore in Paper Girls #3. It's Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chang, so it's beautiful and it's well written. And there's some blood, there's some nastiness. There's flashbacks to ice skating Ronald Reagan. Because when you get shot in the 80s, that's what you hallucinate. We get another hint to the future! And find out who's underneath the cowled, bandaged hoods. There are gleaming knights that may or may not be so good, and there are mutated people who may or may not be so bad. It's everything you want out of sci-fi. Dave, number 4, time traveling. Dave 4, Dave number 2. Dave 2, issue 4. God,
there we go.
Because Dave's got a 4 in it, but it's Dave 2. It's very complicated. Dave goes back in time, fucks with time. Is almost destroyed by the daughters of the people who created the robots, including his, the creator that they all talk about, who realize that there's no humans left in the future, so the girls want to take him out and stop that from happening. But then they don't. And time travel, and the ringing in my ear is gonna kill me. It's just good. Just read that. Read that, I tell you. Mystery Girl, the girl who knows all the answers already. She solves every mystery. All mysteries solved already. She met a woman at a party. Can't remember who the woman is. Can't remember anything about that. But as a result, ever since then, she just knows everything. You come to her, she already knows what you're going to ask her, and knows the answer. So, she's been working with another detective already. And now there's a rather, eccentrically sociopathic hitman after her and another woman. Oh, and mammoths might be alive. It's a whole lot of stuff, and it's really good.
A nap.
I do. You have no idea what felons are exhausting. My felons are just exhausting this year. All new, all different Avengers number 2. Nova's a little douchebag. Everybody else is awesome. Thor shows up. It's Mark Waid on Avengers, and it's got Ms. Marvel. It's got 3 of my all-time favorite Marvel characters. 2 of whom are new and 1 of whom is not. So it's got Falcon as Cap. I've always loved the Falcon. It's got Ms. Marvel. And it's got the Miles Morales Spider-Man, who in this they talk about how he has the stamp of approval from the original Spider-Man. So, Absent Captain, weird little indie book, really good. They try a little too hard with their pitch on the back cover, but it's a pitch for their company, not for the comic. The idea of this comic is there's a super team. I know you're shocked and amazed already. It is led by Captain Zero. He leads the Cavaliers. Captain Zero sends them a pre-recorded message that says, if you're getting this, I'm dead. You guys have to solve the mystery without revealing your own identities to the world. Here's my identity. It affects the team in all sorts of different ways. They're now trying to deal with that. In the end, we get a surprise. Is the captain dead or not? We don't know. One of the team members, Major Impact, takes it a little harder than everybody else. And we find out along the way, because the team doesn't know each other's identities. He's crying on the phone and talking to his mother, and he's like, I know, Ma, he was my brother. And he's Captain Zero's brother. Really, really good. Like I said, their back cover, they talk, they make this whole spiel about, it's about time. We proudly introduce you to Overground Comics. They talk about reboots, retcons, constant relaunches, fake deaths. And like, it's like, dead is dead, we're not going to reboot, these are the characters. Every day you age, so they'll be young for a long time, but eventually they will grow up, yada yada. Which is all well and good, but this is your first issue. So, all of the dead is dead, especially the irony of dead is dead in a book where, the last page, the character who's the whole story is supposed to be about being dead may not be dead. But aside from that, this book is really good. But as of right now, I have one issue's worth of an attempt at investment in these characters. So telling me that that Dead will be dead and changes will come and blah 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 means nothing to me because I'm not. The reason people get so upset with the reboots and the reboot is they're invested in those characters.
Mm-hmm.
Savage Dragon made major changes. It was a big. It lasted 209 issues. We've had time to get invested in that character. You put out your first issue, you may do some great stuff, and down the line I maybe go, oh my god, and this was really good. Don't get me wrong. I just thought it was too much of a heavy sell for. I have no investment in these characters, so if you kill this whole team next issue and introduce me all new characters, I only have one issue's worth of investment in any of them. Although I do already start to feel for, I think, major impact between his costume, his goofy name, and how hard it hit him. Yeah, the major impact is the only character. I had to look up the Zero part of Captain Zero. I didn't remember his name, but Major Impact made a major impact on me, and I like that guy. Extraordinary X-Men.
So many X's.
Genie from the past recruits Logan from the future. Logan realizes this is probably not his future, but in that fatalistic way that comic book characters get, he's like, yeah, but it doesn't matter. No matter what we do, one of these days you're gonna die because you're Jean Grey, and I'm gonna end up killing the X-Men because that's what happened in my future, and that's what's gonna happen again. And Jean Grey's like, but I read minds. I can keep an eye on you, so that if you start to lose control, I can be right in your head to help you, and you're fucking Wolverine. If something tries to kill me, stop it. So that's the little bonding moment. Meanwhile, all I really want to know is what's up with Nightcrawler and can we get his tail reattached? That's important to me. All new X-Men #1. Cyclops was right. Senior Cyclops is dead. He's left behind a bunch of mutants who feel he was right and are now wearing masks with his ridiculous X goggles as they form like their own version of like weird not bad guys per se, but like
Morlock-esque.
no, they're vaguely they're 1/10 X-Men, 9/10 Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Only they think they're the opposite combo, and following the words of Cyclops. Along the way, though, they end up beating up someone who really doesn't agree with anything they're saying, and then they are shocked and confused to discover that that someone is young Cyclops.
Oops.
The X-Men's new base is Beast has created a. It's basically a Volkswagen bus TARDIS. It doesn't travel through time because they're done with that. Well, they're done with that intentionally. I'm sure it'll happen because they're X-Men.
Yeah.
But they're done with messing around with that kind of thing. But it's bigger on the inside, so it's like a whole base on the inside, but it's a van,
Nice.
VW bus. And it can teleport because it's powered by a BAMF named Pickles.
Pickles. I
Who
love
sits in like a room inside the engine where he wears like a Cerebra thing that links him to the car and sits around watching weird things on the internet on his tablet and eating Pringles on this like little cushion, and he's like the power behind it.
That's
so
fantastic.
plus this it's basically everyone from the old from the displaced in time 60s X-Men except for Jean, who's on the other book. Who's in the other book. Then it's the all new Wolverine, X-23 there, and of course it's Kid Apocalypse and ID, who's got like the hot cold powers. So I'm already happy because all they need now is to give me a book or let me write one with like the X-Men, the current young kids. Oh, I would write the hell out of a New Mutants book, led by maybe a couple of former New Mutants, and teamed with like Eyeball Kid, Shark Girl, Blob Herman. Quentin.
Get Omega.
Yeah. Quentin Quire. Yeah. Oh.
Calm down. Calm down.
Maybe led by, Cypher and Cannonball. And Danny Moonstar. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, Warlock will be on the team. Still pursuing his relationship with Danger. Oh, greatest book ever. Marvel, call me.
Finish the damn show.
Make this happen. Replica #1 from the new Aftershock title. So good. Cop on a weird... There's this artificial planet thing that they've discovered in space that seems to exist in like all times and dimensions. So there's all sorts of weird travelers there and whatever. And there's a company called U2, Y-O-U, T-O-O, that clones. This cop is tired of the ineptitude of some of the other cops. He's in a sector that's governed by human law but has non-human agents and aliens. So some of them keep trying to do their own thing. He's like, oh, I wish there could be more of me. And he goes, so he goes for a cloning. He's going to get a double. There's a fuck up. And he's got like 50 clones. There's like a whole... And each of them seems to have their own sort of aspects of his personality. And now he's got a whole unit of him. And there's major stuff going down. And of course it's all getting fucked up because... the best laid plans of men and clones. Really, really good. Insufferable #8. Ending Insufferable until we get Insufferable on the road. This is Mark Waid and what's Krause's first name? Peter. Mark Waid and Peter Krause are the writers, storytellers, artists. So Mark Waid is the writer, Peter Krause is the artist, and they both come up with the story. They have worked before on Irredeemable and Incorruptible and the various other ins. Now they're on Insufferable because
Book bent.
they bent it when they put it in my box, and apparently they didn't have any for the shelf, so I couldn't even swap it out. Apparently they get this for me and nobody else because the rest of the world sucks and doesn't know what to read. The Woods #18. Oh boy.
Dear God, that
brothers,
is a creepy
brothers,
guy.
brothers. Casey and Calder, the two brothers, they got some issues, and Casey is a dick, and Calder needs to figure that out in time to help what's left of his friends. Really, really good. This book has been great. You need to read this, so do that. Bloodshot #8. Bloodshot Reborn. Bloodshot is most of the way back to being Bloodshot. Magic gets a brief stint with some of the Bloodshot nanites. We find out a bit more of the origins of the Bloodshot program, which stemmed out of the Dead Dog program and various other programs throughout, dating as far back as Project Dead Dog was back from February 12th, 1960. Up until February 12th, 1965, there was an operation called Project Dead Dog, which was then, in 1965, it was renamed Project Bloodshot. It's had varying successes throughout the 70s, 80s, 90s, and then ultimately in 2001, they had their first real major breakthrough with what would become the Bloodshot we know and love. Action Labs Actionverse #0, really good. It mixes some of my favorite books from Action Labs. It's got Stray, Midnight Tiger, and Molly Danger, all mixed in one big grand adventure that sets them up as one universe and makes me so very happy. Really well done. In a weird way, it's like a tiny little Marvel Convergence that, That's that done right. They didn't need to give me a thing on the back cover saying we're gonna do our own kind of thing and we don't have to rent it. No, they just did it and it was good and I was happy. Black Hood number 7. Starting off a new storyline. You can get yourself off all the substances you abuse, but if you're addicted to putting on a hood and being a vigilante, that's a little harder to get out of. Midnighter number 7. Midnighter has the best fight ever with Prometheus, who talks too damn much and really underestimates how single-purposed Midnighter is. Plus, Midnighter finds out a teeny bit about his past, and we get a cameo in a nice little touching moment by Apollo. So there's always still hope that one day I can get my power couple back and be the happiest man in the world. And we'll end it with Teen Titans number 14. Look, Ethan Van Sciver cover, very nice. On the cover, it lists the talent. It says, Pfeiffer. All right, so Tom Pfeiffer's the writer. And then you open it up, and it says, Will Pfeiffer's the writer. You open it up, it says, written by Scott Lobdell and Will Pfeiffer. And it reads exactly like you'd expect it to.
Bait and switch.
I just want the Titans to be the best book it can be. And somebody...
Head away from Lobdell?
If Lobdell makes it the best book it can be, I'm all for it. Put him on. Because Lobdell surprised me with how great he did that 2-issue Blue Beetle convergence. Because I was ready for, oh God, they just took my favorite character and gave him to one of my least favorite writers. And, I know companies like to do that to me, but why is this happening? They've done that before, and it worked surprisingly well when they gave me, look, we're going to give you a Justice League International book written by Judd Winnick. And I was like, what? And then it was great. And then now they gave me Blue Beetle, and he wrote great. So I know it's in there. The Scott Lobdell I used to love back in the day is still inside Scott Lobdell, but he really just wants to go this other direction. It's just not working for me. So, if he can make it, great. Great. Somebody make the Titans great. Somebody. Can somebody do that? Really? Or put Young Justice back on TV so I can at least watch that? All right. I've talked to you enough, Internet. I missed you guys. In my bed.
Thanks for watching another video from Gonna Geek. If you like geeky stuff, check out our podcast network, our news and articles, and our community forums. You can find it all at GonnaGeek.com, like us at Facebook.com/GonnaGeek, tweet us at GonnaGeek, subscribe to our YouTube channel at YouTube.com/GonnaGeek, and check out our live programming at GonnaGeek.com/live.